Admiral William Carter adjusted his blue uniform as he entered the vast chamber of the Galactic Council. The room was circular, with high walls made of a strange alien metal that seemed to change color with the light. Above him, 17 alien representatives sat on floating platforms arranged in a half circle. Their eyes, some glowing, some multifaceted, some barely visible, all focused on the lone human standing in the center. Carter took a deep breath. At 53 years old, he had seen many strange things in his years of space travel, but the sight of the council still made him feel small. Not that he would ever show it. "Human representative, you have 10 minutes to respond to our terms," announced the small alien with purple skin who operated the translation system. Her voice echoed through the chamber. Carter stood straight and looked up at the council members. His face showed no fear or worry, though inside his heart beat faster. The terms they had given Earth yesterday were impossible to accept. He knew what he had to do. "I have read your terms carefully," he said in a clear, strong voice that filled the room without needing to shout. "The limits you want to put on human ships, colonies, and technology are unacceptable. Earth and all human worlds reject these terms completely." High Counselor Zinthar leaned forward on his platform. He looked like a giant praying mantis wearing golden armor. His front legs clicked together in a sign of anger that the translation system didn't need to explain. "This is not a discussion where you can ask for better terms, human," Zinthar said. His mouth parts moved strangely as he spoke. "The Council has decided that humans are growing too fast, building too much, and learning too quickly. You are a danger to the peace we have kept for 3,000 years. From another platform, a large rock-like alien rumbled. "Your people have gone from simple spaceflight to advanced gravity control in just 80 years. No other species has ever moved so quickly. It took my people 500 years to develop. The same technology," added a small, furry alien to Carter's right. "We worry what weapons you will create next." Carter nodded slowly, taking in their words. He had expected this. For 5 years he had tried to show the Council that humans wanted to be partners, not enemies. For 5 years they had responded with more rules, more limits, more restrictions. "I understand your fears," Carter said, "but humans cannot and will not accept being held back. We will not stop exploring, building, or learning just because it makes you uncomfortable. That is not our way." He pressed a small button on the thin black wristband he wore. Behind him, a large screen appeared in the air. It showed hundreds of human ships, blue dots moving across a map of known space. "As we speak, every human ship is leaving Council space," Carter explained. "Every human business is closing. Every human living in your territories is heading home." The Council chamber erupted with noise. Several representatives stood up shouting questions and demands. The translation system struggled to keep up with the sudden flood of different languages. "Silence," demanded Zinthar, his voice cutting through the chaos. When the room quieted, he turned his large compound eyes toward Carter. "What exactly are you doing, Admiral?" "What you have forced us to do," Carter replied calmly. "Since you will not accept humans as equals, we are leaving. All diplomatic ties between humanity and the Galactic Council are now broken. All trade agreements are canceled. All cultural exchange programs are ended." Representative Gorax, a bull-like alien with 4 arms and thick gray skin, slammed his fist on his platform. "You cannot simply walk away from the Council. We control all major trade routes. We set the rules for all species in civilized space." "Not for humans. Not anymore," Carter said. He pointed to the screen where the blue dots representing human ships were quickly moving toward the edge of Council territory. "As of this moment, we will stay in our own space. We will build our own future without you. You will destroy yourselves without our guidance," said a thin, ghost-like alien whose body seemed made of light. "Or you will become a threat to us all," added another. Carter shook his head. "Maybe. Or maybe we'll create something amazing that you can't even imagine." He looked at each council member before continuing. "You could have worked with us as partners. Instead, you chose to treat us like children who needed to be controlled." "The Council has existed for 10,000 years," said Zinthar. We have seen species rise and fall. We know what happens when advancement comes too quickly. And humans have existed for hundreds of thousands of years. Carter responded. We have faced extinction many times and survived. We know what happens when you try to stop progress out of fear. Carter turned off the screen and straightened his uniform. Our withdrawal will be complete within 30 days. Any council ships that enter human space after that time will be considered hostile. This decision will harm your people more than ours, warned Zinthar. You need our trade networks. You need our technology. Carter walked toward the exit, his steps echoing in the suddenly quiet room. At the large doorway, he turned back to face the council one last time. Watch us, he said simply before walking out. Lisa Martinez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she checked her tablet. The hot sun of Outpost Zenith made the loading work harder, but they had to finish on time. As captain of the merchant ship Northern Star, it was her job to make sure everything and everyone got safely back to human space. She looked around at the busy landing area. Just 1 week ago, this had been a thriving human trading post. Shops had sold goods from 20 planets. Families had lived in the neat houses, beyond the market. Scientists had worked in the research buildings at the edge of town. Now most buildings stood empty. The last humans were packing up to leave. How many more containers? Lisa asked the tall, thin man working beside her. 8 more, Captain, replied Ben, her chief cargo handler. We should be done in 2 hours. Lisa nodded. Good, we need to be ready to leave by sunset. She walked between the large metal containers, checking that each was properly sealed. The Northern Star was taking home crucial equipment from the Human Medical Center. Other ships were handling different tasks, moving families, transporting research materials, carrying food supplies. Captain Martinez. Lisa turned to see Alan Wright, her first officer, running toward her. His normally calm face looked worried. He held up his small computer screen as he reached her. We've got a problem, he said, trying to catch his breath. The Zalarian authorities just sent this message. They want to take our atmospheric processors. They say these are important resources that belong to this planet. Lisa read the message and frowned. The atmospheric processors were advanced machines that made the air breathable for humans on this alien world. They had cost millions to build. They know those processors are ours, she said. We brought them here 5 years ago. Alan nodded. Yes, but they're saying that since they're attached to their planet now, they should stay. Lisa took a deep breath. This was happening all across Council space, aliens trying to keep human technology when they learned humans were leaving. Tell them the processors stay with us, as Admiral Carter ordered, she said firmly. Remind them that we have proper ownership documents. And if they still say no? Alan asked quietly. Lisa looked at him seriously. Then we activate Protocol Omega. Alan's eyes widened. Protocol Omega? But it means we leave nothing behind that could be used against us, Lisa finished. Every piece of advanced technology either comes with us or gets wiped clean. The Zalarians will be angry, Alan warned. They already are, Lisa replied. But I won't leave tools that could be turned into weapons against Earth someday. 4 hours later, Lisa stood in the control room of the atmospheric processor plant. 10 Zalarian security officers blocked the door, their scaled skin reflecting the blue emergency lights. This equipment stays on Zenith, said the leader, a female named Trist whose neck frill was extended in a sign of authority. Our government has declared it essential infrastructure. Lisa stood her ground. This equipment belongs to Earth. We built it. We maintained it. The agreement we signed 5 years ago clearly states it remains human property. Agreements change, Trist replied coldly. Your people chose to leave the council. There are consequences. Lisa looked at her team members who waited for her signal. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but she had no choice. Very well, she said. Since you won't honor our agreement, we will follow our protocols. She pressed a code into her wrist. Computer. Throughout the facility, small charges detonated with soft pops. Smoke rose from control panels as they destroyed themselves from the inside. The main screens went dark. What have you done? Trist cried, rushing to check the nearest panel. Protocol Omega, Lisa explained calmly. The processors will keep working at basic levels so your people can breathe. But the advanced functions, the ones that could be studied to make weapons, are gone. The programming has been wiped. The special components have melted. Trist turned. To her, anger clear in her 4 eyes. This is an attack on our planet. No, Lisa corrected. This is humans protecting themselves. The basic life support still works, which is more than you deserve after trying to steal our property. Back on the Northern Star, Lisa watched from the bridge as they lifted off from Outpost Zenith. Below, the once busy human settlement grew smaller. Soon it would be just another alien place. All ships report ready for jump, Captain, said Alan, from his station. Tell them we go together on my mark, Lisa ordered. No one gets left behind. As the Northern Star rose into space, Lisa could see dozens of other human ships also leaving the planet. Large transport vessels carried families. Small, fast ships held valuable research data. Medium freighters like hers moved equipment and supplies. Jump drives ready, reported the navigation officer. Take us home, Lisa said. Across council space, the same scene played out over and over. Human businesses closed. Human researchers packed up their labs. Human diplomats left their embassies. Within 4 weeks, the exodus was complete. No humans remained in council territory. The economic impact hit quickly. On the trading planet, Mercantis, food prices doubled overnight when human farmers stopped delivering goods. On Xelar, 3 major hospitals closed when they could no longer get human medicines. On Taurus Prime, the shipyard stood empty because they depended on human engineers. On the council observation deck, Representative Naya of the Solarian Concordat watched the final group of human ships activate their jump drives. The ships stretched and disappeared in flashes of light as they entered jump space and headed toward Earth. They didn't bargain, she whispered to herself. They didn't threaten. They simply left. Beside her, Junior Counselor Vex asked, "Will they come back when they realize how much they need us?" Naya shook her head slowly. Her people had dealt with humans longer than most races. She understood them better. "I fear," she said quietly, "that we may be the ones who realize how much we needed them." 5 years passed since the humans left council space. At first, many alien leaders had laughed, certain that humans would return within months, begging to rejoin the galactic community. They needed the council's trade routes, technology, and protection after all. No species could survive alone in such a dangerous galaxy. But the humans did not return. No human ships appeared at trading posts. No human diplomats requested meetings. No human signals were broadcast to council communication stations. The area of space now called the human expanse remained completely quiet. On the council homeworld of Centrum, Dr. Samuel Wilson walked down the clean white hallway of the government building. At 48 years old, with graying hair and tired eyes, he was one of the few humans who had stayed behind. Love had been stronger than loyalty to his species. He had chosen to remain. With his wife, Liana, a blue-skinned Meridian scholar. 2 security guards followed him as he entered the meeting room. He had grown used to being watched. As the last human with any scientific knowledge in council space, he was both valuable and suspect. "Dr. Wilson, thank you for coming," said Counselor Thax, rising from his seat at the long table. The tall, slender Valerian's face was hard to read, with its smooth blue skin and large pupilless eyes, but his voice sounded tense. "Did I have a choice?" Samuel asked, taking a seat. He noticed 10 other aliens sitting around the table, all high-ranking officials from different council species. "This is not an interrogation," said Intelligence Director Lorne, a short, 4-armed being with dark red skin. "We need your expertise." Samuel looked around the table. "My expertise? I'm a xenobiologist, not a diplomat or soldier. What could you possibly need from me after 5 years?" Counselor Thax touched a control panel, and a large screen appeared. On the wall, it showed a map of space with the human expanse marked in red. "Our long-range sensors have detected massive energy readings coming from human space," Thax explained. The patterns suggest large-scale construction, enormous projects bigger than anything we've seen before. We've sent 12 probes into human territory in the past year, added Director Lorne. None returned. All stopped transmitting at exactly the same distance from Earth's solar system. Samuel studied the map. The bright spots indicating energy usage had indeed grown significantly since the last time he had seen such a display. "What are they building?" asked a reptilian council member, from the end of the table, her scales changing color with anxiety. Samuel shrugged. "I have no idea. I haven't had contact with Earth or any human colonies since the withdrawal. When I chose to stay with my wife, I gave up my connection to human developments." "But you understand how humans think," pressed Thax. "Are they preparing for war? Is this the beginning of an invasion?" Samuel laughed, though there was little humor in it. "You still don't get it, do you? You never understood humans then, and you don't understand them now." "Explain," demanded Lorne. Samuel leaned forward, placing his hands on the table. "Humans don't respond well to threats or ultimatums. We never have, throughout our entire history. By trying to cage us, to limit us, you only guaranteed that we would devote all our energy, all our creativity, all our resources to making sure we could never be caged again." "So they are building weapons," said Thax, his blue skin paling slightly. "I doubt it," Samuel replied. "Not primarily, anyway. Defensive systems, certainly. But knowing humans, they're building a future." "What does that mean?" asked the reptilian counselor. "It means," Samuel explained patiently, "that instead of planning how to fight you, they're planning how to live without you. They're creating technologies, societies, and systems that make the Council completely irrelevant to them. That's much worse than war." "Worse?" questioned Lorne. "How is peace worse than war?" "Because in war you matter to your enemy," Samuel said. "In what the humans are doing, you don't matter at all. They're moving forward while you're standing still, arguing about regulations and worrying about maintaining the status quo." The room fell silent as the council members considered his words. "Our scientists report that the energy signatures suggest they may have developed new forms of faster-than-light travel," said Thax after a while, "and possibly new energy sources we don't understand." "I'm not surprised," Samuel said. "Without council restrictions, human innovation would accelerate greatly. 5 years of unrestricted research and development? They've probably made more progress than you can imagine." "Should we be concerned?" asked Lorne directly. Samuel stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the gleaming spires of the council capital city. "Not if you leave them alone. Humans rarely start conflicts, but they always finish them." "And if we wanted to re-establish contact?" asked Thax. "To offer new terms?" "I think that opportunity passed years ago," Samuel said. "You had your chance. To be partners. You chose to be obstacles instead. Now you'll have to live with that choice." As Samuel left the meeting, he wondered what his former people were really doing out there in the stars. Part of him wished he could see it, the unleashed creativity of humanity, building its own path without the Council's constant restrictions. But he had made his choice, and he would live with it. That night, in the quiet of their apartment, his wife Liana found him standing on their balcony looking up at the stars. "They asked about Earth again, didn't they?" she said softly, wrapping her forearms around him from behind. "Yes," Samuel replied. "They're finally beginning to worry." "And should they?" she asked. Samuel smiled slightly. "Not about war, but about becoming irrelevant. Absolutely. Far beyond the reach of council sensors, in the heart of what was now called the human expanse, the first prototype of the dimensional gateway hummed to life. The project that would eventually allow humans to reach beyond their galaxy was just one of thousands of innovations developing in the silence that followed their departure. Without the Council to hold them back, humanity had begun to truly spread its wings, and they had only just started to fly. 10 years after the humans left, a new and terrible danger appeared in the galaxy. Ships began to disappear near the outer rim. Then entire colonies went silent. No distress calls, no warnings, just complete silence. The Council sent warships to investigate. None returned. Finally, a single damaged scout ship limped back to Council space. The footage it carried showed massive black ships that seemed to absorb both light and energy. These ships attacked without warning or mercy, harvesting all life from planets they encountered. The Council named them the Devourers. Within 3 months, the Devourers had destroyed 12 inhabited worlds. Council forces fought bravely but were easily defeated. Their weapons barely scratched the black ships. Their shields offered almost no protection against the strange, green beams the enemy fired. On the Council capital world, emergency meetings ran day and night. Fear spread throughout the 17 species. "Our best weapons cannot stop them," reported Admiral Zex, the Council's top military leader. His normally bright orange skin had turned pale with exhaustion. "Their technology is far beyond ours." "How many ships have we lost?" asked High Counselor Mira, who had replaced Zinthar after his death in one of the early battles. 218, replied the Admiral, plus 12 colony worlds with over 8 billion people. At this rate, the Devourers will reach Core Council worlds in less than 2 months, added Intelligence Director Lorne. "We cannot stop them." The room fell silent as the terrible truth sank in. The Council, which had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, faced extinction. "There is one possibility," said Representative Naya softly from her seat. All eyes turned to her. "The humans." "The humans?" scoffed a reptilian delegate. "We haven't heard from them in 10 years. "Exactly," Naya replied. "And in those 10 years, they've been developing their technology without restrictions. We've detected energy readings from their space that suggest they've made enormous advances." "Why would they help us?" demanded another council member. "We tried to limit them. We threatened them. They left because of us. Because the Devourers will eventually reach human space too," Naya explained. "This is a threat to all life in the galaxy." After much debate, the council made its decision. A small, fast ship was prepared with a delegation of 3 representatives. They would travel to the edge of human space and send a message asking for help. It was a desperate move, but they had no other options. Commander Eliza Foster stood on the bridge of her patrol ship, the Swift Horizon, as it monitored the border of human space. At 35, she had already served for 15 years in the MY, Earth Defense Force. Her short brown hair and serious face gave her an air of authority beyond her years. "Commander, we're picking up a signal," reported her communications officer. "It's coming from Council space." Eliza frowned. This was unusual. The Council had respected the boundary for a decade. "Let me hear it," she ordered. The voice that came through the speaker sounded tired and afraid. "This is Acting High Counselor Mira of the Galactic Council. We request urgent communication with human authorities regarding a threat to all intelligent life. Please respond." Eliza considered her options. She could ignore the message, but her orders were to report any unusual activity, and this certainly qualified. "Send a response," she decided. "Tell them I'll speak with them on the border." 6 hours. Later, the small council ship appeared at the designated coordinates. Eliza allowed them to establish a video link but kept her shields up. "Commander Foster, thank you for responding," said Counselor Mira. The tall, elegant alien looked exhausted, with dark circles under her large eyes. "What's this about a threat?" Eliza asked directly. She had no interest in small talk with the council. Mira explained about the Devourers, the attacks, the lost worlds, the inability of council weapons to stop them. As she spoke, she sent data files showing the black ships and their devastating weapons. "We've been monitoring the situation," Eliza said calmly when Mira finished. "The Devourers appeared at the Outer Rim 3 months ago and have consumed 12 inhabited worlds." Mira's eyes widened. "You knew? And you did nothing?" "We did plenty," Eliza corrected her. "We studied them. We analyzed their ships, their tactics, their technology. We prepared our defenses, but they haven't entered human space yet, so we've had no reason to engage them." "Will humanity help us?" Mira asked desperately. "We can offer trade agreements, technology exchange." "This isn't a negotiation," Eliza interrupted, echoing Admiral Carter's words from a decade earlier. "Humanity will address the Devourer threat, Because it eventually endangers us as well. Not because you asked. The transmission ended, leaving the council representatives staring at a blank screen. 3 days later, the Devourer fleet, now numbering over 200 ships, approached the heavily populated Nexus system. Its 5 planets were home to over 12 billion people from different council species. The council had stationed its remaining warships there in a desperate last stand. As the black ships closed in, something unexpected appeared. A barrier of swirling blue-white energy stretched across their path, blocking the entire system. Behind, it waited 100 human vessels of unfamiliar design, sleek, asymmetrical ships that seemed to bend light around them. "What is that?" whispered Captain Torval of the Council flagship, staring at the view screen in awe. "A dimensional barrier," replied his science officer. "Something that should be impossible." The human fleet did not send any messages. It did not demand that the Devourers surrender. It simply moved forward through its own barrier and engaged the enemy. The battle that followed lasted less than an hour. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, their weapons cutting through the Devourer vessels like they were made of paper. When the black ships fired their green energy beams, the human vessels absorbed the attacks and redirected the energy back at them. When it was over, the Devourer fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single human ship had been lost. On the Council flagship, Captain Torval watched in stunned silence as the human vessels turned and disappeared into what looked like tears in the fabric of space itself. They had saved the Nexus system and its billions of inhabitants. They had destroyed a threat that the entire Council couldn't stop, and they had done it without saying a single word. "Send a message to the Council," Torval ordered finally. "Tell them the humans saved us. And tell them they've changed." 6 months after the defeat of the Devourers, the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was filled beyond capacity. Representatives from all 17 member species had gathered for a historic meeting. Guards stood at attention along the walls. Colorful banners hung from the high ceiling. At the center of the chamber stood Admiral William Carter, now 63 years old with white hair and deeper wrinkles, but still carrying himself with the same quiet strength. He wore a simple dark blue uniform without any decorations or medals. "Humanity appreciates your invitation to rejoin the Galactic Council," Carter began. His voice was calm and clear. "We have considered your proposal carefully." The council members leaned forward in their seats. After humans had so easily defeated the Devourers, a threat that had nearly destroyed the combined forces of 17 species, everyone understood the new reality. Humans were now the most powerful species in known space. "We decline," Carter said simply. A shocked murmur spread through the assembly. Council members turned to each other in confusion. This was not the response they had expected. "Admiral Carter," said High Counselor Zan, rising from his central seat. "Perhaps I should clarify our offer. We are not asking humans to return as ordinary members. We are offering humanity leadership of the Council. After what your people did, your technology, your power, you could guide us all." Carter shook his head. 10 years ago, you saw our potential as a threat rather than an asset. You chose fear over cooperation. We left with no anger toward you. We simply removed ourselves from your restrictions so we could follow our own path. And that path has led you to technologies we can barely understand, said Representative Naya, with clear admiration in her voice. "Yes," Carter agreed. "Because we invested in innovation rather than limitation. In the decade you spent trying to maintain control, we reimagined what was possible." "Then what do you propose?" asked Zan, spreading his forearms in a gesture of openness. "We will maintain our independence," Carter explained. "We will protect ourselves and explore the stars in our own way. We will trade with individual species who approach us with respect, but we will not be governed by the Council, nor will we seek to govern others." As Carter turned to leave, Representative Thorne of the Eldacar hegemony called out, "What if another threat like the Devourers appears? Will you help us again?" Carter paused at the doorway. "We didn't help you. We protected the galaxy, which includes us. There's a difference." He looked over the assembly one last time. The irony is that if you had accepted us as equals rather than trying to control us, we would have shared everything freely. That was always the human way. As the doors closed behind him, the council representatives sat in stunned silence, finally understanding what they had lost. Humanity had walked away and, in doing so, had traveled further than anyone could have imagined. Not in spite of the council's rejection, but because of it. The council had feared human potential and tried to limit it. Instead, they had unintentionally unleashed it and realized their mistake far too late. The end.